Hi, you guys. So I keep getting questions about this, and this is the last time I'm going to address this. I have so many videos discussing the Jubilee calculation and the timeline, and if people would like to listen to other folks who have different opinions, that's awesome. You guys can do whatever you would like. But it's unfair to bring it back to me and ask me to keep repeating myself when I've already stated I've done it a different way and told you how. The Jubilee calculation is not based on 50s. It's based on 7s. This is where people have, I guess where this distortion has moved into. The whole point of Leviticus 25 is periods of 7. It's not periods of 50, it's periods of 7. Number 7 sevens, and then in the 50th year, hallow it and proclaim Jubilee. That 50th year is the first year of the next 7 sevens. So you are never outside the scope of the periods of 7, which is the ultimate point of that chapter is the 7s, not the 50s, the 7s. So this is what I did when I constructed my timeline. I didn't set 1406 as some year that was outside of the count. It's the first year of the count. When you come into the land, then begin the count. So that's going to be the first year. Number 7 sevens, which is what this is, and then in the 50th year, hallow and proclaim Jubilee. That 50th year is the first year of the next 7 sevens. So you never have a period of 7s uninterrupted. There's no standalone year. Again, we go back to the premise that it's the periods of 7 that are critical to this, not the periods of 50. The 50th year is significant, but the 50th year is simply the first year of the next 7 sevens. What you observe about this is when you just do the simple math, and I already have this calculated out, is 1406 minus 1357 is 49. 1357 minus 1308 is 49. So yes, the Jubilees are in the 50th year, but in order to get to that, in order to count accurately, if you're only counting Jubilees, you're counting by 49s. There are going to be 70 Jubilees. So from the commencement to the end, it's 70 Jubilees times 49 equals 3,430 years. If you simply add that to 1406 BC, you end at 2024. But obviously that's going to include a year 0, so you have to add an extra 1 for accounting for no year 0, and that takes you to a 70th Jubilee of 2025. This is how I have presented my research ad nauseum at this point. But for some reason, people who haven't actually taken the time to plot it out are saying, no, you count by 50s. All right, well, let's see what that would wind up doing if you did that. Now, since I don't count this way, I can't say for sure how people who would count this way would count it. So the first thing I tried was to say, okay, well, 1406 is still going to be the beginning regardless. Like, to my understanding, you wouldn't pull that out as a standalone year and then begin the count of the 7 sevens in the next year. That doesn't seem right. So I would say, okay, well, regardless, your 1406 should still be year 1, and then your 50th year would simply be a standalone year. It wouldn't be the first period of the next 7 sevens. It would just be a standalone year. So it would still be 1357, but then you would start the next period of 7 sevens with 1356. But the problem with that is you have an inconsistency. If 1406 is not a standalone year, it is not the first year of the count, which it's commanded to be. But if it's not the first year of the count, then your first, from your commencement to your first Jubilee is only 49 years. But then if you count in the method of every 50th year from there, then the difference between 1357 and 1307 is 50. So there's an inconsistency if you do it like that. So you either have to make 1406 the first year of the first period of 7s, and then count by this way up here, or you have to make 1407 a complete standalone year, not the first year of the periods of 7, and do it like this. So you'd have 1406 as a standalone, and then your periods of 7 would begin in the next year, and then 1356, which is 50 years from 1406, would be your first Jubilee, and then, so that's the only way that you can count by 50s is if you make 1406 a standalone, which is absolutely 100% outside the bounds of the command that is given in Leviticus 25. But regardless, whatever. So we say, okay, well, if we count this way, you're going to have 70 jubilees, according to the context of Daniel's prophecy, at 50 years apiece, not 49. So you should have a span of 3,500 years from the commencement of the 1406 prophecy to the 70th jubilee. Well, that's going to take you to 2095. So if you count this way, you're saying that adding 3,500 years to account for your 50-year cycles, added on to 1406, then the 70th jubilee would be 2095. Well, okay, so you probably don't like that. Let's say, well, maybe there's not 70. Maybe there's 69. Okay, so let's change that. So you would say it won't be 2095 because we don't like that. 2045 would be, you know, the one before that, because all you're doing is subtracting 50. Well, you don't like that. Okay, because that's still 20 years away. Well, then the one before that would be 1995. That's already passed. So I get it. Like, you think this is the right way to count. Cool. The results that you get ain't going to be what you want them to be. But in keeping with Daniel's prophecy, which is all about 70s, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a 70th Jubilee of 2095. So I don't know what it is you guys want me to say. You either have to count it the right way and come to the conclusion that I've shown you, and if you want to dispute that, then hey, I guess you're looking for 2095. Good luck with the next 70 years of your life. Like, I'm not being sarcastic, I'm just saying that's what you're asking for. If this is your commitment, that is what you are asking for. The 70th Jubilee, mathematically, would be 2095. So, another thing that people seem to have failed to assimilate into this when they're trying to use the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Essene calendar is that the Dead Sea Scrolls, because they would use that in alignment with the periods of 50 and then the 120 Jubilees from creation to kingdom, you know, the 6,000, 120 Jubilees times 50 equals 6,000. And because the Essene calendar or the Dead Sea Scrolls counts by those periods of 50, there should be somewhere in the vicinity of 6,000 years to tell you that you're on the right track. Did you guys know that the Dead Sea Scroll calendar, which is like all the rage right now, does not even put you in the realm of 6,000 years? This is what it says. It's just dsscalendar.org. This is the Dead Sea calendar, Dead Sea Scroll calendar home. So this would be probably the date if you were to go on Hebcal. This is the date in Israel right now, or day and time. This is today's date on the Gregorian calendar, and this is the Dead Sea Scroll calendar. For all the people who are so interested in 2025 being a Jubilee year on that calendar, yeah. But it's not the 70th, not from the point that we're counting, and they're still giving you another 50 years before year 6,000. So they're essentially telling you there that there is going to be a whole other Jubilee period after this that would start around year 6,000, and that's where people would expect kingdom. So there's a lot of inaccuracy going on. There's a lot of failure to just do the checks yourself, and people are just taking other people's words for it. And then they're asking me to give my opinion about what other people are saying. Why did you not go look it up yourself? If you are interested in the Dead Sea Scroll calendar, why did you not come here and look to see, oh, they're not even at year 6,000, but you've been pledging your life that there are 6,000 years of world history and this is the Jubilee year, and they're counted by 50s. The Dead Sea Scroll calendar doesn't even validate your thought. Tells you there's going to be another Jubilee year that's going to take you to your year 6,000. This would not be it. If you are so dead set on listening to people who say it's every 50 years, not the 49, there's no biblical command to count by 49s, great, then you're going to be looking for a 2095 rapture date. I do not know how many other ways I can say this or how many other things I can do to knock some sense into some people. You are making the choice to listen to these folks. I am not. I have presented my information and I've told you precisely how and why, and I've taken hours to go through how we get these things and from point A to point B how we use the day, month, and year counts to show all of that. Not a single one of these other people have done that, and yet you are questioning me and not them. I don't know if it's because I've made myself available for questions and they haven't, that you guys are taking advantage of that, which is great. But you are barking up the wrong tree and you are arguing with the wrong person. It is your choice to continue to listen to these other people for whatever reason you have, but it is your choice. It is not mine. I do not wish to be involved in those conversations anymore. I have done this. I have presented this so many times in books and in charts. I'm not going to continue doing it just because you guys continue to listen to people who are off their rocker. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to make the choice to step away from them or to step away from me. You're going to have to do your due diligence and sit down and pull up a spreadsheet and knock out some counts and say, oh, well, what they're saying couldn't work out because it's not right. Or they're using an extra biblical resource. Why would you need a Dead Sea Scroll calendar to interpret the Bible? Because you shouldn't ever need an extra biblical source to interpret a biblical source. These things do not make sense. And I think that there's a failure of people to step out, to step away for 2 seconds and just see the forest for the trees. I don't understand what more I can do. Therefore, I am not going to do anything more. This is the last time I'm going to present this. You're either going to get it or you're not. You're either going to agree or you're going to disagree. If you're looking at the Dead Sea Scroll calendar, they've got another 50 years to year 6000, this 8-year Jubilee year. If you're looking at counting by 50s, you got another 70 years before the 70th Jubilee. This ain't your year. If you're counting the year, the ways in which the biblical instruction is given, this probably might be your year. So that is legitimately all I'm going to say on this. No more questions will be answered. I have much reference material in books and in charts and in videos. There is nothing more that I need to do. Therefore, there is nothing more I'm going to do.